We're so happy to have you. Tyler Carson, symphony violinist, composer, producer.
Oh,
So much talent and things that you contribute. Energy healer. You contribute so much to not only just your neighborhood of Sedona, Arizona, but to the whole world. So we're so honored to have you with us today. You know, we're gonna share your story. We're gonna go back to the beginning where it all started. And kind of we'll bring everybody up to date on you've got some exciting things happening right now, and some wonderful shows and performances. And but going back to where it all began, you originally hail from Canada, is that right?
I do.
And started performing at a young age, so around 7, 8 years old. Is that when this journey began?
It sure did. I was up at the Calgary Stampede, which is a world famous rodeo turned exhibition. And they had a singing and dancing troupe of young Canadians. We were called everybody from 6 years old to 18 years old. And I remember they even had a stuntman from LA that came in on my second year, and he taught us how to do flips, like in the Westerns, you see, you get shot. So I learned that when I was about 8 years old, thought that was the best thing ever.
How fun.
All part of a big musical theater show.
Do you use that in your show? Do you still do your little flips?
I love that. That's going on the list. The best I do these days are some jumps, some rocker kick jumps that you might see pictures of me jumping over, like our local Bell Rock here is quite a famous spot. There's no photography tricks involved whatsoever.
Well, make sure to make note of that. You perform all of your own stunts. So
yes.
By the age of 11, you'd already performed to about 500,000 people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people to have seen you and to stand in front of. Not easy for a lot of young performers.
Indeed. It surprised me, honestly, to look back at it and go, wait a second, I've started adding it up, and yeah, it came to a lot of people. And that was live because there was international television involved in a couple of the shows as well. So I have no idea exactly how many, but I learned that because of some archival stuff that I was asked to put together for this really special thing with CBS.
Oh, we're gonna spill the beans on that real soon. Definitely. Now, younger sister Kendall, she also plays the violin. Sounds like she. Now, did you inspire that because you started first?
You know what? I'm gonna take full credit. Yes, I did. And actually, it's kind of a true story because I was 5 years old, and that's sort of the more common time to start for violin. And any later than that, and you're catching up. Any earlier than that, you're testing the waters of your parents' patience, you know. And what happened was I went for my first lesson, and of course my little sister was with me, and my mom, and by the second lesson, Kendall, we all left. Her name is Kendall, and she says, "Mom, this isn't fair. I want to play too." And that was the beginning of the whole story.
high school, you were already touring the world performing, and a
Yeah.
symphony soloist,
Yeah.
just so many different opportunities and things that you were able to experience as a youth,
Mhm.
as you grew up. And then the two of you, you and sister Kendall, ended up doing some world tours and touring, and ended up in Nashville.
Yeah.
You two were quite the duo, it sounds like.
Yes, we were a dynamic fiddle duo. And yeah, we used to, it started so humbly by performing on our little hometown street of Victoria, British Columbia. And we give out these little business cards. And people, lo and behold, started calling us. And now it's how we got most of our gigs to start with, including the one that took us to Japan and Thailand, and then on German television. And then eventually that one led all the way to Hollywood. And but like you say, that was just before like that all happened. Hollywood, I was 16 years old before Savion Glover and after Jason Alexander, and that was just an amazing experience. And then right after high school, we went down to Nashville to see what we could conjure up down there.
During this time was a pivotal event for you,
Right.
pivotal time in your life, in your career. You were faced with a health challenge that altered the course of your life and your music. Um,
Very much.
you were also singer songwriter, so singing was a big part of your performing as well as the violin. You
Yes, in
were
fact.
diagnosed with a condition. Am I saying this right? Spasmodic dysphonia.
Yeah.
So it's involuntary muscle spasms that occur
Mm,
in the vocal box and in the larynx.
yes, exactly. And
So
that's
it
why
just they gradually it started as a little something and then gradually became worse to the point where you could no longer sing. Is that right?
hmm hmm
And told that the only solution is to have Botox treatments for the rest of your life, which doesn't sound like much of an option, really. And
Right.
from what I read from your bio, this event and this change, this shift, changed not only your approach to the violin, but you also traveled the world seeking alternative forms of healing that led you on a journey to become an energy healer yourself. How was that transition? So, people go through all kinds of phases of when
Mm-hmm.
they're diagnosed with something that's limiting them from doing what they love so much. Um,
Mm-hmm.
how how was that for you in that as you transitioned into finding treatments?
You know, at the time, I didn't know. I couldn't quite explain it, but like you said, it wasn't an option in my mind just to get Botox for the rest of my life. And as I look back now, I realize that I'm really fortunate that I had been playing the violin, not only because I could continue doing music, even though I was a singer that lost my voice, but because there was a purpose in my life that I didn't even realize I was creating. It was just mom said, practice the violin. And then we kept doing it because it was fun. And I learned that joy every day becomes purpose, and purpose becomes a guiding light when things become difficult. And that's exactly what held me together. And when I found energy healing, I discovered that it was very much similar to what it was like when I got on stage. I would feel something come into my body and it would be like whoosh and want to go out. And my teachers taught me that you could modulate it and you could affect another person directly with your hands. And so I began to learn about meditation and balancing my nervous system, which you hear I just did, and my voice dropped. This is grounding my central nervous system so that my voice will calm down and the unconscious part of my nervous system will let my voice relax. And this is the training, that primary training that allowed me to do what doctors didn't think you'd normally be able to do.
While working on completing his college certification as an integrative energy healer, Tyler traveled to southern India, where he not only taught energy healing to locals, but also had the honor of performing a solo concert at the Patanga Cultural Center, located in a spiritual community called Auroville.
You credit this not only just the energy healing, but the challenge that you've overcome, and we're still working through because this is going to be lifelong
Mm,
for you, has actually um, changed and improved your relationship with your instrument. So how you
yeah,
even play the violin. So
yeah.
how did that happen for you?
Well, I had noticed something for several years. When I would practice, every once in a while, I would just sort of goof off for a second. I just play a riff, and suddenly it just sounded really different. It had a vitality that my regular scales and the music I was reading off of the page didn't have the same feeling. And as I did meditation, I began to realize if I can play, I learned how to play from that place. Basically, I was moving into joy by going, oh, I'll just fiddle a riff here, and just, oh, that was really nice. I realized that if I could continue to be non-judgmental about myself and about my playing and just play essentially from here, that my true self or something happened, and the music started to have a different kind of energy that just made it pop. And I started to discover that I could really actually do everything all by myself as a violin player. There
And
was
you do
something
that.
exciting.
You say that you don't necessarily play music, the music plays through you, which is what
Yeah.
you're describing to us. And it sounds like the people that experience your performances, they feel that when they're in your audience. We're gonna have our television audience is gonna see some of the comments that people have made, that some very distinguished people have made about your performing and what they felt when they were in the audience. Now you
Yes.
perform a show, Fiddler on the Rock,
Yes.
the one-man symphony concert. So you use some modern tools and tricks some gadgets and things that enhance your performance, but you celebrate not only your original compositions, but also it's a rockin' show as well with
Yes.
favorites Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, probably just a little bit of everything. But this is a wonderful show. You perform very often there in Sedona, but why Sedona? What actually led you there?
There was a documentary about my voice and my music and how all of this transformed. And I think it's a universal story that everyone's faced a challenge. And one of the blessings of being an artist is that we can express it so everyone knows what's happened for you. And it became inspirational for people. And this little documentary premiered here in Sedona. And since then, it's been around the world, and in fact, we're doing the public premiere just in a couple of weeks. So it's been at all the film festivals around the world and won a few awards, and that's what brought me here. And Sedona is full of that kind of people are come here looking for that kind of new perspective in life, I think. This venue that I'm standing underneath right now is where the concert series began here in Posse Ground, Sedona. And it was at one of these concerts that I saw someone come in. They were taking notes the whole way through and smiling and laughing. Then they left right away afterwards. And I thought, boy, that was kind of interesting. And then 2 weeks later, I got an email and it said, hi, I'm a producer, longtime producer from CBS Mornings, and we would love to talk to you about filming your performance. And it's become quite an interesting journey for the last 6 months. We've been working on this piece.
And
Yeah,
that's something to be proud of, and we're proud of you for that accomplishment. Those are just the surprising things that just happen. We just never know when those things could happen.
that's
So
so true. That's so true. And they even surprised me because halfway through our process, they called me up on a Zoom call, kind of like this, and said, Tyler, who was that instrumentalist that you really admire? I said, oh, Lindsay Sterling. That girl is amazing. This woman has just gone from, she's just everybody's inspirational, motivational story and in every way. And they said, well, you know what? We gave her a call because she's going to be performing in Phoenix. And we wondered if you'd like to go play with her. And Lindsay Sterling has had 6 billion views. For anybody that doesn't know her, she's had 6 billion views on YouTube. She's inspired so many people. And we got together recently and I got to meet her and I played some harmony parts and different arrangements. We did a duo violin arrangement of her music, and it was just extraordinary. And so you might get a little bit of that in the big release with CBS.
you have your regular shows. Is there certain seasons that you play, or do you play all year round?
I play mostly the whole year round, but I do take some time off, usually in January and July is when I go off and do other things. Otherwise, I love playing for all the visitors from around the world here. This is a musician's dream come true. I don't do the touring, the visitors do it for me.
That's a good way to put it. They come right to you. And
Yeah.
Sedona is, we're in the middle of doing a travel series on visiting Sedona. We want people from all over to come and experience the magic, the beauty, the landscape, the healing power of Sedona, and just everything that's beautiful and of nature, and to just unplug for a little while and just experience that. And what a treat, that you live in this beautiful place and you can share this with your talent and share, the with the community and the people that live there. So,
Mhm.
you have some albums that you put out as well that are available that people can buy. They can subscribe to you on Patreon too and become a supporter and also have access to your music.
Yes, yes, it's been quite a journey, and what my intention is around my performances in Sedona, as you described, is to be part of the expansive nature of coming to Sedona. Like as you can see the view behind me, I mean, it just makes your mind just your whole perspective shift. And so when you can come to a concert that's a little unusual, you're like, boy, a solo violin concert, like, oh, and it's not classical. And he does Jimi Hendrix, and are you kidding? Taylor Swift. And so that puts us in a different mindset. And I think it allows us to experience the music more directly. And that's what my new albums are all about. They're recordings in the heart of this nature that really inspired it. In fact, I do a lot of mashups. And one of the mashups I did was a Taylor Swift song with a whole new world from Aladdin. Back in my childhood, I remember this song and it just means so much. And it just jumped into my fingers one day. And amazingly
Mhm.
enough, the chords work perfectly over blank space from Taylor Swift. So these are some of the
Wow.
unique things that you'll hear in my music, and you'll
Mhm.
also feel the energy that I was experiencing when I made it.
Is your violin close by?
Well, it just might be. I would be.
Oh,
I'm always happy to bring music any chance I get, and you made this little invitation, so haha, here we are.
there
This
it
is
is. So, I'm one of those silly musicians that name some of my instruments. Not all of them have names, but
yeah,
some do. Like I have an accordion named Francis, and my ukulele's name is Lulu. So,
nice, love it.
does your violin have a name?
Well, there's kind of an interesting story. I've often kind of contemplated, should I name it? And one day I was with Lindsay Sterling, who names all her violins, and that was her first question. She says, "What's the name of your violin?" I said, I haven't really been called, but since then a name has been coming forth, and honestly, I think it's going to have multiple names. But one of the things I love about this instrument is the color, and it matches my hair, as it turns out, and it kind of matches the rocks, and it's got a sort of a fire color to it. And
Mm-hmm.
with the story of recovering my life because of this instrument, the name that popped into my mind for some reason was Firebird. And that
Mm,
and that really resonated. And it was only a couple days later I realized, well, that's a phoenix. And that is the
right,
sound of my music rising from the ashes, right?
exactly. Yeah,
So, and I
that
do have
sounds
one
like
other violin. Hmm? And this one has had several different names.
Oh,
This is a horn violin. Officially
wow.
officially called a Stroh, after the maker. And it's designed to sound a little different.
No reason to get excited. What's the thief in kindness spoke? Oh, there are many here among us who feel that life is but a joke. Oh, and you and I, we've been through that. Oh, it's not our fate. Let us not talk false now. 'cause the hour, 'cause the hour, 'cause the hour.
Maybe that's it. I think that's it for now. But I know I gotta play my prayer song. So this piece wrote me, so to speak. I was walking at a retreat and very much in the vibe of heart and spirit. And I just started hearing this melody and I was whistling it and I realized, wait, I don't know that melody. And it was the first solo violin piece that I wrote. And I call it Keystone because it brings me back every time to that heart-centered space, which is what living music is all about.
So, this documentary, you're going to be on TV again. You're going to be on TV here in Las Vegas. We're excited that
Yeah.
people in Las Vegas are going to get to meet you and hear your music. And any new projects in the works? Anything coming up?
So my big projects right now are the albums being released, and one of them's already up. A couple of them are up on Spotify. The rest are coming up soon. I'm also getting my social media going. It's one of these things that as a as an independent artist, it kind of gets, but now that I'm not going on national TV, I got some support and we're good. So if you sign up, everything is under Fiddler on the Rock, not on the roof, Fiddler on the Rock, these guys. And if you search for that, you'll find me on all the platforms, my website and all that stuff. And you're going to get all kinds of new content coming up real soon.
Wonderful. And you can also visit TylerCarsonMusic.com. We'll make sure that everyone has a chance to see that.
Yes.
And follow you. And we'll be checking in for some updates and posting your show schedule so that people can make sure that they don't miss your show when they're visiting Sedona. We're so glad that you're back to give us this great update. Because there's so many exciting things going on in your career, in your performances, shows, so many things to be excited about and to celebrate with you.
Oh,
So
thanks. Yeah.
we're glad you're on the Metal Margarita show to help us celebrate these wonderful achievements. And so recently, just to give the audience a little update, because last time we talked about your show, some of your background, but not that long ago, there was a woman who produced a documentary on you called Living Music. Libby Spears directed this documentary. It's produced by Blueprint Films. So just to give the audience just a brief background, how did that come about?
Like most things in my life, it just sort of shows up as I'm following my music. And I was playing a small show. I was experimenting with my loop pedal for the first time. So I was in very small venues, and there's a little lounge in Portland, Oregon, and there was 4 people in the audience, and 2 of them were these 2 gals that were really intrigued, like they're paying a lot of attention to me. And honestly, I was kind of, part of my mind was like, I wish they would stop paying so much attention because I'm trying to experiment with my music. And as you know, as an artist, like when you're creating new things, it's like a very special sort of incubating kind of thing. So to be observed is a different experience. And so about halfway through, and I took my break, I went over, I chatted a little bit, and they seemed very, that we had a great chat, and I shared a little bit of my story. And afterwards, they came up to me and said, Tyler, we're actually documentary filmmakers. We're here doing a feature film in Portland, but we got some time tomorrow morning, and we were wondering if there's any chance you would come and talk with us. We'd love to interview you. And so that next morning I got up first thing. I mean, it's early for a musician. I'm playing late. I'm up at 9 in the morning doing an interview about my life. And we did the interview. They came out and they filmed another concert a couple months later. And they said, we don't know what'll happen, but we'll keep you posted. And so that was sort of how it happened initially.
So this documentary, they put it together, and a beautiful job they did because the audience is going to get to see a trailer.
My name is Tyler Carson, and I'm a solo violin player. It wasn't until I lost my voice that I started to think of the violin in a whole new way.
The funny part is that sometimes starting over is really what you need.
But this won an award at the Illuminate Film Festival. And then it traveled, so there were screenings in other places around the world for which it won awards as well.
That's right.
So
it
that's
was quite
very
a journey.
exciting.
Yeah, it's a real traveling energy in my life. I was actually very shortly after we filmed the initial piece in Portland, I went traveling myself around the US, and I happened to be about 5 miles outside of Portland when 10 months later, out of the blue, they said, hey, we finished your film and it's going to premiere at the Illuminate Film Festival in Sedona next month. And I'm like, what? This is crazy. And so, we ended up winning we won 2 awards at the Illuminate Film Festival, Best Short Documentary and Audience Choice. And then actually maybe I'm confusing that with Prescott because it came full circle. It went to Madrid, it was in St. Louis, it was in LA, and the last festival was in Prescott, which is a small town nearby Sedona. and it won there as well. So it's been a very interesting journey, and I've only just been able to start sharing it, because when it goes on film festivals, they don't like you to share the film elsewhere. So this is very exciting that now I'm able to include it in some of my concerts.
No, the next progression with this show is actually to add dinner. So it'd be dinner and a show and a concert. So
Yeah, I love it.
that's the next thing, is to find a place for that. So
Yeah.
how proud the community must be of you representing the
Oh,
Sedona area with your music, and to for this story to be able to travel around the world, and for people to not only hear your music but also find out more about where you're from and the town you represent. So that's really exciting,
yeah,
and
it's
that
it's
gives.
thank you. You noticed all the key things there, Rebecca. Yeah. I've been getting that reflected back to me quite often.
That's wonderful. And as folks are watching, this episode, they're learning about you, they're learning about your music, they're getting to hear some of it, see you perform. And we definitely don't want them to miss these upcoming shows. And we don't want them to miss an opportunity to see this film, because what a beautiful job Libby did on it. And we want to
Yeah.
congratulate her as well. A shout out to Libby Spears, named in Newsweek's 150 Women That Shake the World. So
Yeah.
um, what an
Yeah.
exciting thing for her, as well as accomplishment as an artist in her own right.
It's pretty
So
wonderful to lift each other up, as you're doing with the Mental Margarita show. Yeah.
yes, and we're so blessed to have this platform, this opportunity to be able to present this to the world, and for people to meet our artists this way. And
Yeah.
we we're going to get back to your documentary, and that we're producing and putting all this together, and putting all the pieces together, because coming soon, and we're going to have to nab you for another update, because coming soon you're going to be featured on CBS Mornings.
That's
So
right.
another exciting installment in the Tyler Carson story.
Yeah.
So
Don't miss the special edition of CBS Mornings on Friday, November 29th, featuring Tyler Carson's exciting segment during the 8 o'clock hour.
and then of course people can reach you by going to your website. How do you prefer they contact you? On your social
Yeah.
media, through the website?
Website's usually the best. Yeah. Yeah, I've got an email address and a phone number, a Google number that connects through, and I'm happy to connect with folks. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And it's
Well, that's
fiddlerontherock.com. Not the roof,
Fiddler
the rock.
Fiddler on the Rock. They
Yeah.
were already on the roof, and we knew what happened with that story.
Yeah.
So fiddlerontherock.com. One Man Symphony, Tyler Carson, thank you so much for being with us again. And we're going to get back to the rest of your story.
Watch this amazing documentary, Living Music, by scanning the QR code below. Mental Margarita shout out to award-winning producer Libby Spears for the beautiful job done with presenting Tyler's story in the documentary Living Music.
Starstruck, here's a sprinkle of the stardust. Hold your champagne glass and your cigars up. See the guys with mob ties drive the cars up. Bright lights, most nights they buy the bars up. Candy coated Chevy cars on the highway. It's Frankie baby, it's on and this is my way. Dean Martin at the Sands this Friday. With Sammy Davis, here's a little hint where I stay. The city shines like Liberace's mansion. And you know Elvis had the whole city dancing. Showgirl silhouette steady prancing. Shout out to June, just the Copa Girls anthem. Legal gambling, yeah, that would tempt me.